Have you ever seen elk feeding across a well-lit mesa? Did you notice the golden light of the sun glistening off their ivory-tipped antlers? Just imagine that while you're standing so close, you can hear each breath he takes. Your first reaction is to think that this is beautiful, but soon you realize that the English language doesn't have a word that adequately describes what you just witnessed. Stephanie and Race are hunting this year for elk. I'm going along just to take pictures, and I am super excited to watch these two get after these elk.
I love elk hunting, and to get to take my son, wow. I cannot imagine how exciting this week's going to be, spending it in New Mexico with my son hunting elk.
There are 3 roads that lead to the same destination. There are 3 players seeking to achieve one goal. Why do I hunt? It's who I am.
Where do I find the passion? It's in my blood.
How do I keep going? It's what I live for.
We are the wildlifers. It's a pretty unique place that we hunt elk in New Mexico. It's not high, steep mountains with big pine trees like you envision when you're going on an elk hunt, but then again, it's not easy to get around in country either. It's kind of unique to the area. Fairly deep canyons and a lot of rocks and cedar trees.
This country's rough. I mean, this is not your everyday just drive around cattle ranch. You've got to be in shape on this hunt, because once you get out of the truck, you can't ever drive right to where the elk are. You can drive close and, you know, get a bugle or whatever, but when you get out of the truck and you got to start hiking up and down these canyons, you better be in shape.
We've hunted here on this ranch in New Mexico for about 4 years now, and it is amazing hunting. There's not a lot of bulls here, there's not a lot of elk here, period, but when you do see them, you really see some great ones.
Compared to other places where I've hunted elk, I would say that the population is definitely not as big as it is in other areas, but the bull to cow ratio is crazy. There's way more bulls than there are cows, and the bulls that are there are absolutely phenomenal. But when Race got home and told me about his bear hunt, he had so much fun that I couldn't help but say, you know what, you're going elk hunting this year, you can have my tag.
Dan heard what a great success our bear hunt was and how excited I was. I think he just wanted to tag along to this hunt and get to experience Ray shoot his first elk as well.
So I just got home from the bear hunt in New Mexico. My mom and Dan invite me to go on another hunt in New Mexico, but this time we'll be chasing an elk. Anytime I get the chance to go hunt with my mom and Dan, much less in the beautiful terrain of New Mexico, I'm always game.
You know, I just took my first elk the year before, so I know how excited I was, and I'm sure Race will be just as excited to take his first elk.
Race had never heard of bull elk bugle, but I've been talking to him about it here for a couple of years now, and I only hope that it does for him half of what it does for me.
Everybody's telling me about how crazy it is to hear an elk bugle and that it's going to be a life-changing experience. So I don't really know what to expect. I just figured it'd be an animal making a noise just like I've heard my entire life, but I'm pretty excited to see what it's going to be.
If it's anything like it was for me, that first elk bugle you ever hear, there's nothing that can compare to it. I bet you his emotions are gonna be high.
I may have beat Race to the tree on the bear hunt and took the first shot at the bear, but I'm gonna give him the first shot at an elk. This is just something so magical. I cannot wait to watch him experience it.
Wildlifers is brought to you by Mellon Creek Outfitters, raising standards, not fences. Barnes Precision Machine, USA made with unmatched performance. Wise Eye Smart Feeders, feed the guest, zap the pest, shut out the rest. We are the Wildlifers. What's it like to hear a bugle? Have you ever heard a song that moves you emotionally? That's what it's like to hear a bugle.
We're having to stay on the roads and bugle and try and get a bull to respond because it's rained so much, the roads are wet.
See how, like right there?
Right away, we find a bull that's just crazy responsive. I mean, he's just right there.
The bulls here are so responsive. The weather might not be great, but we're gonna go get it set up.
I don't know. I mean, if he's a good bull, kill him. If he's not, no. We're gonna grab our gear and go in his direction on foot and see if we can't get into position for Race to get a shot. I like to have a little bit of room between me and where that elk is coming from so that I can visually look him over, make sure he's old enough, make sure he doesn't have any points broken off.
We hiked in 200, 300, maybe 400 yards. My mom and Dan decide this is a good spot to set up. We get the wind right, get a good spot to where we can't be seen. We're surrounded by hills just all around us. We're kind of in a little crown.
There he is. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Next thing you know, the bull's coming down, and that's when my heart starts racing.
See him, Nick. After we get set up, this bull is just bugling like crazy. We can tell he is serious. He is coming to us, and he is coming hard.
I finally see my first bull. He's coming out and he's bugling. The bugling's getting louder and louder and louder. I can hear him coming. And I finally see him, and I think that this bull is an absolute beast. He's just massive. The biggest animal with horns I've ever seen in my entire life.
This bull comes down into the flat, gets out in the open in front of us, and he's bugling and clunking and making all kinds of racket. Puts on an awesome show, man. It was absolutely beautiful.
He's pretty nice.
You know, he's got pretty decent antlers, but he's just too young, and it'd be a shame to take him, especially at this place. So we're gonna kind of let him walk, but at the same time, we hear another bull coming from the same direction.
There he is, don't move. He's on the bottom.
And just like the first bull, this one's just screaming like crazy. I mean, just crazy responsive, just bugling and bugling and bugling. It looks like he's just looking right at me and just screaming at me. Just looks like he's mad at something.
Be still, be still, be still.
You know, as the big bull comes in, we're able to look him over. We know immediately he's old enough, he's big enough, and Nick whispers over to Race, you know, this is your bull. As soon as he gets within range, we're gonna take the shot.
Oh yeah, he's pretty good.
His third's weak on the left.
You know, the bull's coming in, and you know, in my mind, I've hunted elk for so long that as he's coming in, I'm seeing shot opportunities as he's coming. You know, Race is hunting with a rifle, and I'm thinking now. Okay, now. How about now? What was wrong with that one? And the bull keeps coming, and he's bugling, and he's clunking. And I'm thinking to myself, my God, he's gonna step on somebody.
Go ahead, shoot it. He just went down.
I'm so excited. He did so good. Race made a perfect shot on him. Bull ran maybe, 70 yards and fell down right in front of us. I literally cried when I knew that Race had taken this elk. I got so emotional. I just cried.
I was pretty happy for Race and really proud of him. You know, anytime that I can present that kind of opportunity to someone, I always climb all over it. But when you get to do that to one of your boys, it's pretty special. This is a heck of a bull, though.
I know, look at that. Look at the mass right there.
You just can't pass a bull like this. Look right here. My hand doesn't even kind of go around it.
This was another first for me in the hunting world, so it meant a lot to me to have my mom right there and Dan right there next to me. And there's just so many emotions running through my body. I mean, this is an absolutely massive animal. I mean, his horns are just huge. He's big, stout bull.
That was so much fun.
It was, and that is a beautiful, beautiful bull.
I can't even begin to explain to you what proud mom is like, but I am a proud mom.
It doesn't happen very often, but Race got it done on the first morning, within the first hour. 2 bulls in, he kills the second one. I mean, it's barely even good in daylight. The weather might get a little bit better. Mama's up next, it's time to go hunting. This segment is brought to you by Barnes Precision Machine, USA made with unmatched performance.
We got Race's bull all taken care of, and we head back out on the roads, and it wasn't long before we hear another bugle.
It took a couple tries, but we finally got one to answer us, and he was so far away, and in that fog and that mist and that little bit of wind, everybody thought he was, one direction. I think I pointed this way and Stephanie pointed that way. Bridger and Race were pointing in 2 different directions.
Nobody can really tell where it's coming from. Bridger's pointing this way, Dan's pointing this way. I don't have enough experience to assert my opinion, but I think he sounds over here.
He just did it again right here.
But after a little while, we finally got it figured out.
It's over here. Hey, it sounds this direction. This bull just keeps on bugling, and finally we locate it.
Finally, one of us sees him. We can see that he's walking back and forth above this rim, trying to figure out a way to get down. And we knew that if he could find a way down from that rim, that he'd come in.
If you're asking me, I say go right here where it's flat. Yeah, maybe we can see him come from the other side and get an idea of what he is. We can't hear very good, so we make the decision to try and move a little closer to this bull and just kind of close the distance.
Well, the wind was almost perfect, so Stephanie found this big, really thick cedar bush and decided to set up behind that. That way there was 2 trails coming up out of this draw. So Stephanie picked this cedar bush out so that no matter what side he came up on, she'd be able to turn and get a shot at him.
I see him. There he is. He's extremely wide.
Well, the bull makes it across the valley, bugling along the way, comes into the draw, comes out. We can't see him anymore for the trees, but then I can finally start hearing him clunking, and I know that if I can hear that, he's 50 or 75 yards away. I know he's going to commit. He's coming.
Here he comes. Yeah, let's see his feet. never had a shot. He's on the other side of that tree right there, Sam. I felt like he was standing there for a week. It probably was only about a minute, but I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting for him to just come 2 steps. But he just didn't come any closer. He saw something that he didn't feel comfortable with, and then when he walked away, he just quartered away from me. He kind of turned his butt to me and just walked off. I couldn't shoot. I couldn't shoot because I was either gonna shoot him in the hip, shoot him on the shoulder. I mean, there was no way I was gonna get an arrow through to make an ethical shot.
I've hunted elk for a long time. I've killed a lot of elk. I've seen a lot of elk. Seen a lot of people kill a lot of elk. I've never seen anything like this before in my life, and you know, I couldn't write a better script than to have those that were with me along to see that come about. That was absolutely the most remarkable encounter I've ever seen in my life.
Even though we were all so disappointed that we didn't get to shoot that beautiful bull, once the nerves kind of calmed down, we had to go back in the truck and do it again, go find another one.
This segment is brought to you by Wise Eye Smart Feeders. Feed the guest, zap the pest, shut out the rest. Sometimes things happen to us that are so remarkable, there is no explanation. Good ethics always trumps opportunity.
Well, the mood in the truck when we were moving after that amazing encounter was kind of somber. But we go to another valley and we get out and bugle, and it wasn't long and we heard another elk.
It might be further down that canyon.
We were doing it again. We're set up, we're finding a cedar, getting somewhere we can get set up where we can pull this bull through and get our eyes on it and see what it is.
The bull finally comes out of a thicket, and everybody can tell that he's young, you know, not something that we want to take.
Bridger's sweet cow call just keeps going, and this bull is committed.
Get a good look at him. He takes off and goes back up the hill, and right about then is when we hear several bulls up on top. So we got to hustle and get up this hill.
Time is going fast. It's kind of starting to get dark. There are bulls bugling everywhere. It's just like a zoo up there. They're everywhere, and we're just basically playing hide and go seek, trying to hide, get closer, hide, get closer. And finally, we get to a tree because this bull is very close to us. He is super close to us.
This green cedar is 25. So it'll be 20 if it's on this side. 20 right in the middle of his chest. All right. That's the other one.
It didn't. Oh, I got a lung. I got a lung. I got a lung.
She makes a perfect, absolute perfect shot on a quartering shot.
I got a lung. I got a lung. I got a lung. I double lunged him. I killed him. I double lunged an elk. I was so excited.
So my mom, she had to outdo me again. I mean, I shot mine with a gun. She shoots one with a bow right there and goes 30, 40 yards and falls.
And she is so excited, man. Her hands are shaking, legs are shaking. I was shaking. I mean, it's just super, super cool.
To see this beautiful 6x6 elk and to know that I killed him and the arrow went straight through both lungs and it was a quick kill. It was just, I don't know. It's a magical feeling. It was awesome.
So the whole trip was just amazing. I got to see my first bull. I got to hear a bull bugle. I got to see one from not 15, 20 yards away from me. I mean, it was all crazy. And to be able to do it with my mom, and she got her first bull with a bow. I got to be able to get my first bull, period. It was just absolutely amazing.
I've been on a lot of elk hunts and I've seen a lot of incredible things hunting elk. But on this elk hunt, I got to see Stephanie get her first bull with her bow. I got to see Race take his first elk ever, and I got to see the most remarkable elk encounter that I'll probably ever see. This one will be a tough one to beat. Closed captioning by Vault Aviation, a different kind of whitetail.